Help support Friendo Club by going to patreon.com/Steven Larson or clicking join at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Access to bonus episodes, question threads for the Going In Raw podcast, and entry to our monthly wrestling predictions challenges. Join the Friendo Club today. Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
Welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, it's a packed one. We're going to be talking about the debut of Jade Cargill. Her WrestleMania match is set, and everything that happened on Smackdown. We're also going to talk about AEW Collision. But speaking of AEW, oh my goodness gracious, CM Punk went on the Ariel Helwani MMA multiple hours, and wow, talked about everything. At one point I texted you, was like, he's being brutally honest right now.
That's Phil's way, though. He shoots from the hip, you know. He's honest and forthright and speaks his mind, and except for areas where NDAs are precluding him from speaking about things, if Ariel Helwani asked him a question, he gave what seemed like his honest answer about it.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start, because this covers a lot. It covers his return to WWE, him leaving WWE in the first place, everything in AEW, Brawl Out, All In. And again, except for areas where NDAs are preventing him from talking, he gave his perspective on everything.
Seemingly the only area that prevented him from talking was the NDA signed for Brawl Out, for the actual backstage fight that happened, where when he was asked, did the triceps tear happen during the match or during Brawl Out, he couldn't say anything. But if the NDA was specifically for the fight and not the match, I don't know.
He shrugged his shoulder and said, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a situation where it was like, I don't know if I could talk about it because of NDA, or I don't actually know when it happened.
I guess it could be either one.
But he had that arm wrapped up, I thought, at the scrum.
Oh yeah, dude. I don't remember. I thought he just had the had the towel on, but I don't know, maybe not. Yeah, there was a lot there. He talked, again, speaking brutally honest, about the Vince McMahon stuff as well. And yeah, he was very blunt, and I thought he had the most, again, sort of on to be expected from CM Punk. Probably the most brutally honest and nuanced, response out of all the responses I've heard. And, he related. Number one, he was saying, in no uncertain terms, I'm paraphrasing, in no uncertain terms, it's disgusting and horrific and awful, and there's nothing positive there. One of the more interesting things he said when relating to talking about Becky Lynch's response to it, he said, Vince McMahon liked to cultivate a father type relationship with a lot of his wrestlers. He was like, that's why, he was fascinated by me, because I wasn't into that. I was like, you're my boss, and that's it. That's where we draw the line. But it was most interesting to me was him drawing a parallel to Chris Benoit. Mm-hmm. He was buddies with, or he knew Chris Benoit. And, there was one point where Chris Benoit said, hey, look at my kid over there. It was his son. And he had like CM Punk, wristbands or tape on the fists with the X on it. And then he said, but he was quiet. He was intense. And when that stuff happened, when we found out that it was a murder-suicide, yeah, okay. You can see it. And the same thing, with Vince McMahon is, the guy, but then you find out that he's doing these horrible things, and yeah, okay, kind of tracks, So I thought that answer was incredibly interesting. And then he spoke from his point of view, from his side of things, on his departure from AEW, including everything from his point of view that happened backstage. And I thought that was incredibly interesting as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where we want to jump into the details of stuff. I guess since you just mentioned the AEW stuff, and Ariel Helwani didn't necessarily ask questions in a chronological manner. The conversation began talking about All In London. Punk confirmed no one was there to pick him up at the airport. And he said he wasn't upset. He thought it was irresponsible. They go into the Jack Perry incident there. Punk gives backstory. I guess it was the second episode of Collision. And a lot of times when Ariel was asking these questions, um, Punk was at times hesitant and always taking time to try to give thoughtful answers.
Yeah,
it
for
felt
sure.
like.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was just waiting to start talking shit about AEW. But he says, I knew walking in here I was going to get these questions.
Yeah.
So he's seemingly trying to give really thoughtful.
He's got a good relationship with Helwani too.
He
That
does.
helps.
He does. They talked about that too. So the backstory on the Jack Perry thing, like I think he said the second episode of Collision. Perry wanted to do the spot with the rental car and breaking it with a pipe.
Well, actually, hold on 1 second here, because I think it's probably best to preface it by the Collision idea.
Yes, so it was pitched, to after Brawl Out to Phil that he would get Collision, they'd have separate rosters with not any, no crossover, yada yada, and just like us, CM Punk said, "Bad idea. This ain't gonna work unless we all get in a room and squash the beef.
Just let me go."
And if you're not gonna do that, let me go, because as he described Tony as a nice guy, not a real boss, because there'll be issues that come up, and Tony wouldn't do things to address them.
That was the biggest, I think, probably the harshest criticism to take away from this interview was essentially the Logan Roy, "You're not serious people." Yep. This isn't a business that is dedicated and predicated on selling out houses, on high attendance, on making money. This is a business predicated. And he was asked, what is the business? What is the point of it? And he said, I don't know. It's not my business. Maybe to have great matches. I don't know. But it's evidently not, in his estimation, not there to draw, houses.
I know. And I wonder if part of that is here's a bit of a sidebar before we get back to this, is the nature of the wrestling business now, where so much is predicated on your TV deals.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And to a degree, houses don't matter like they used to.
Yeah.
Because if you can get decent ratings, even if you only get 1,500 people at your events, your ratings are enough to make the network happy. You get a good TV deal, that's enough to keep your company afloat.
Mm-hmm, yeah, right, yeah.
And so, CM Punk is very much of the era of, and he talks about this. He talks about the dangers, as he put it, of guaranteed money in terms of wrestlers' motivations. Where he came up in the era where houses were everything, because that was the primary income source, not just for the company but for the wrestlers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case these days. Anyways, getting back to all this. So yes, Punk, like us, said Collision, as it was constructed, terrible idea. So he's telling the story about how Jack Perry, I think he said in the second episode of Collision, wanted to do this thing with Hook where he breaks the windshield or window of a rental car with a pipe, and everybody tells him no, and apparently Jack Perry's cussing everybody because he really wants to do it. So Phil says he goes up to him and explains to him why he feels like it's a bad idea. He says it's not safe. He says it sets a bad precedent, because then if you're busting up rental cars, taking them back to the rental car company with a busted window, that's going to make it harder for pro wrestlers to rent rental cars. And that's kind of a necessary thing if you're a pro wrestler.
Yeah, right.
And he says, Jack Perry's like, all right, cool. I get it. Won't do it. Only for it all in to happen. And he was in his locker room watching it, thought it was directed towards him, met up with Jack Perry in the locker room. And Jack Perry gave him the if you got a problem with it, why don't you do something about it? As Phil says, I thought I was being responsible. I didn't punch anybody. I choked him a little bit. Joe told me to stop. I stopped. I went to my locker room. Sorry, he says to Tony Khan, I quit. Mm-hmm. And he goes to his locker room. Joe and Jerry Lynn come out, convince him to do the match. And he says, well, there's a bunch of people here. A lot of people came to see me. It's my responsibility to me, or to them, to Joe, to Jerry Lynn, to go out and have this match, even knowing full well this will be the last time I ever set foot in AEW. And Ariel asked him about Tony Khan feeling threatened, as he mentioned in his statement when he fired Punk for cause. And CM Punk just kind of says, well, I can't think of anything I did to make him fearful.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So, what that was, we don't know. We don't know Tony Khan's perspective from it beyond a statement.
Yeah, and again, this is from CM Punk. This is CM Punk's side of the story, and it's a side that we have not really heard. We've heard bits and pieces through various outlets, and it lines up with a lot of that. But this is obviously, what did they say? There's three sides to a story. The
one
truth
side,
and
the
then
other side, and the truth.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're obviously getting his side, but it's an interesting one to hear in any event. But yeah, it was interesting to hear about the Collision stuff, how he was like, that's not going to work. We need to get into a room and we got to squash it and you got to act like a boss. And so there was the All In thing. I mean, other stuff was, when he left after the Brawl Out, he didn't hear from the company. One of the interesting things that we've often talked about and speculated on is just the idea of structure and how they compare to both companies. Yeah. He talks about getting to London and nobody's there to pick him up. He talks about when he tore his triceps and nobody was setting up appointments, he had to find his own physical therapist. And in WWE, when this happened here at the Rumble, it's all automatic. It's all structured.
Taken care of. Yeah.
It's taken care of. So that was pretty interesting as well. But yeah, I don't know. He talks about having been pitched a certain thing being an alternative to WWE, and then it didn't end up being that. And he believes that the people that were there, and he didn't mention them by name, but the Elite basically.
Well, Ariel asked, you talk about the Elite, and he kind of said, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that. How from the get-go, seemingly they didn't want him there. And just based off, this isn't his word, it's mine, but vibes, like various interactions, I believe is what he said.
Yeah.
Which is interesting and kind of crazy, but also not terribly surprising if true, given that even from the inception of AEW, it seemed like there were a variety of ideas as to what AEW was going to be. None of them sort of won out, from the beginning, because Cody was a thing, but then it sort of became clear that he just sort of became his own thing. Yeah. Meanwhile, there were other things, and AEW didn't really have that unifying vision behind it.
No, and it's something they've struggled with, arguably up until recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He talks a lot about the issues with Hangman, and not so much what he said during the promo. It was more, we worked out the promo. We get out to the ring, and then he says nothing that we agreed upon.
That was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because looking back on it, obviously you can see Punk trying to piece together what this is. And when he sort of leans over, I don't know why you're making this personal. And the way he described it, yeah, they went over, I say this, you say this, I say this, you say this. And then they get out there, he goes on, and he's like, I'm trying to listen to what he's saying, but the crowd is loud. And I need to make sure that I'm responding to what he's saying, but he's not saying what he said he was going to say. And I thought that was really interesting. It sort of explains why that promo was it wasn't just the one line.
No.
It was like just sort of off the rails from the get-go.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. As much as he could, he talked about Brawl Out. He said that he didn't go into the scrum with, the notion that he was going to go and just start unloading on everybody. Mm-hmm. He says he went in there and he saw people who were friends with the Elite, and he saw wrestling, as he put it, quote unquote, journalists, and he just lost his temper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not allowed to talk about the actual brawl. Not even allowed to talk about Larry as it relates to the actual brawl.
Yeah. He did say that he had his back, though.
He said the NDA is definitely not something that was his idea, something that Tony Khan had him sign.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he would be fine talking about it.
Yeah.
But he can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if it's a situation, and this is all from CM Punk's vantage point, and this interview was good in that it gave us a full understanding of his perspective on things. Even before this, you could understand his frustrations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Like personally, the only issue I took with the Brawl Out thing was him blasting the company publicly like that. And I get it. I understand why he did it. I might not agree with the methods, but I understand why, especially if he's brought these issues to Tony Khan several times, and Tony Khan just kind of shrugged at him and didn't do anything. Mm-hmm, I get the frustration.
Yeah.
And what recourse did he have? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy answer.
Yeah.
But it's from hearing this from his perspective and learning more about it. All right, I appreciate his perspective more coming out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a shame, and not really for the salacious details of what happened at Brawl Out, but it's a shame that the NDAs were signed just so we couldn't hear other people's perspective on what happened.
Yeah.
because it's valuable in gaining an understanding of what went down. And
Yeah.
I don't
it
need to
is,
know.
yeah.
It's not necessarily, oh, who threw the first punch, so on and so forth. What was the elite's mindset going to their locker room? Were they looking for issues? Were they going just to talk to them? We don't
Yeah.
know these things.
Well, the interesting thing is, yeah, and I guess that you could the debate over, because he also talks about how protective he is of, that old school mentality of protect the business, and what it's none of our business what the locker room is and how it is, and I get that perspective as well. The backstage, scuttlebutt, if you will, is to a degree absolutely none of our business, but in professional wrestling and in a lot of different, entertainment forms, the backstage stuff is interesting just to understand the dynamics of the performers involved. It's interesting stuff. And it's interesting to see how it informs what we get on our television.
Yes.
But also it was kind of interesting what he said. He talks very much about being a business-minded person. And he was like, I understand as it pertains to the Hangman stuff. I understand sticking up for your friend. I stick up for mine plenty. But you're going to risk drawing $1 million gate. You're going to risk TV ratings. You're going to go on live national television where, they spend a ton of money to put this on. And you're going to risk all of that, to defend your friend. And that's where we differ. He even talks about his return promo where he has the counterfeit Bucks line. And he says, if you want to make that connection, you can. I'm speaking about what's happening on television, which is like a little bit of bullshit right there. Because we know when you say counterfeit Bucks, that's with a wink and a nudge. But he also talks about how he's always aware of where the line is when, he refers to Heyman and Brock Lesnar in the pipe bomb, that, it's stuff that, that's taboo to speak about, but he knows where to pull back. And so that's just his way. That's just CM Punk. That's who he is. And so I don't know. It was very interesting. Let's talk a little bit more about.
Oh, here, I'm gonna make one more point about Brawlette, and we'll move on about the NDAs. Because I feel like the lack of transparency with it builds up the mythic nature of it. As opposed to if you get perspectives, you get some semblance of what happened back there by having everybody's perspective, and the people can move on from it. And I think one of the reasons, and I assume people still talk about and why they still talk about it is because of the lack of transparency. People want to know because you have the top stars in AEW maybe throwing hands backstage. People want to know why. People want to know how it happened. I get it.
Yeah.
And maybe to a certain extent, Punk's right. None of our business. Stuff happens backstage. It should be considered not exactly routine, but it's one of the things that happens in the wrestling business. But given the nature of the news cycle in the world of wrestling and the level of interest and the level of access that fans have now to backstage details, whether they're always accurate or not, that's another conversation. People are invested in it.
Sure,
and if you put a gag order on everybody involved, it's going to continually build up this mythic nature, and mis and disinformation is going to spread that the people who are involved in this then have to deal with. And Punk mentions that. He's like, you can think whatever you want of me, just leave me alone.
You can't tell people not to want something. You know what I mean? Like, you can say it's none of your business. That's fine. That's not going to make them not want to know about it.
No.
And then that's where, people like you and I guess come in. But yeah, let's talk about the, what he said about the Vince stuff, because I thought that was also incredibly interesting. We sort of brushed over it, because he was asked, is this the same place as it was? And you can sort of see this building, because he talked about his return. It's sort of kind of a boring story, to be honest with you. What was kind of interesting is Nick Khan, apparently for a while, because they're, agented by the same place, CAA, had been trying to get after CM Punk to come back to WWE for a while, even preceding,
backstage,
Nick
backstage. Coming in the company,
and Nick even being in the company, which was pretty interesting. And Punk said, there were definite conversations, and then it just didn't go anywhere. Then he ended up in AEW. He was asked, what the place was WWE the same place it was 10 years earlier. He was like, no. He said, somebody said to me, I'm super glad you're back here so you can experience the culture here you helped create. He says it's different in the sense that it is friendlier, where it used to be a Shark Tank and cutthroat. It's more laid back now. It's more relaxed atmosphere. This has been something that a lot of people in WWE have talked about since Triple H has been sort of the guy there and Vince was out, is that there's much more of a team atmosphere, which, you love to hear as well. Ariel asked how Punk felt about the allegations against Vince. By the way, thank you for doing the notes here, because this is a long ass interview. He says, I didn't read all the allegations. I read the text and it's indefensible. He said, I read it through text and said, it's indefensible. There's nothing positive here. He said, my initial thought was how dumb Vince was leaving a paper trail. He says, it's horrific. And at this point, all the energy should be sent towards the victims and how do they survive this after suffering all that trauma? He says, the business, and he's asked, is the business better without him? He was like, how can anybody say anything but no? Of course the business is better without Vince there. He does mention also he had one brief interaction with Vince
at Titan Towers after he came
his
back,
return. He was brought back to Titan Towers like, hey, you can come check out our gym here. He was on the treadmill talking to Nick Khan on the phone, and one of Vince's handlers comes up and says, hey, Vince doesn't want anybody on their phone. He was like, okay, whatever. And so he sees Vince walk by and he's like, how's it going, pal? And he gives him a hug or whatever. And he said, we should reconnect afterwards. Funny bit, because he was like, Ariel says, did you guys reconnect? And I thought the same thing, like after the session, the gym session.
Yeah.
Did you reconnect? And Punk said, no, Ariel, there was a lot going on. Meaning down the line, he didn't reconnect because of what happened. So anyways, he says, I already sort of mentioned I could see that with Vince McMahon and the father figure aspect. He says, it's sad though, Vince ruined his life by ruining other people's lives, which is a good way to put it as well. Talked about what the original plan was. He was very transparent. Talked about what the original plan was for WrestleMania. Him and Seth, he sort of, confirmed that, and he was totally happy to do that. He was asked about his relationship with Roman, and he sort of didn't give, a concrete answer on that. What did you think about? Because he then said there were friendships that I had made 10 years earlier that were able to continue, and he sort of said that on the tail end of the Roman thing. Do you think that was any indication that he's backstage good with Roman Reigns?
Well, I mean, one thing he said is even when he's not involved with things, and he mentioned this in correlation with The Rock coming back, even when he's not involved, he likes kind of being a fly on the wall in the room just so he can observe and learn.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And granted, he hasn't had any interaction with Roman on TV since he's come back. Mm-hmm. He's asked specifically by Ariel Helwani about the references Roman made to him about on the Pat McAfee show, the needle mover shirt, stuff like that. And Punk just said, it's just business.
It's a business.
It's business. That's what he said. So, he reiterated a couple times on here. He's like, I'm not back to make friends. I'm here to make money. But the caveat being, even with that outlook, he said this about his time in AEW, he made a lot of really good friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and he talked about reconnecting with people when he came back and why he stopped talking to him after he was fired. He did talk about coming backstage to Raw while still under AEW contract in May of last year. Said he was on a flight from Florida to Chicago, ended up sitting next to Jason Jordan. Mm-hmm. Liv Morgan was somewhere in the vicinity as well. He said a lot of wrestlers were getting on the plane. I guess Liv helped CM Punk find his earbuds when he fell asleep on the plane. Liv apparently mentioned to Bayley that CM Punk was on the flight. So then Bayley texted CM Punk, hey, Raw's in town. Why don't you come say hi? Mm-hmm. And so that was what led to him showing up at Raw. And he said he wasn't there long. He said he had a quick word with Triple H, and then it was apparently Vince's call for him to leave.
Yeah. What was I think one of the more interesting aspects of it too, just when he's talking about sort of AEW and the nature of the business, is something that you and I have talked about quite a bit when and it's something that we'll probably discuss in a little bit here when we talk about Jade Cargill's debut, and that's presentation. Mm-hmm. And he talks about how the fact that you think of CM Punk, and Ariel Helwani had mentioned when he made his return in 2021 to AEW, to wrestling in AEW. And he said, he sort of sliced WWE as sports entertainment out of
Yeah.
his promo and said, I, left Ring of Honor, which was pro wrestling, and now I'm back in pro wrestling in AEW. And Punk even admitted, I think I probably, with that promo, leaned a little too heavy into the niche internet, aspect of things, which is another way of saying the 5-star Dave Meltzer, internet wrestling community, work rate is everything aspect of things, where CM Punk is really like the guy for me, and for me personally, understanding the concept of like, oh, work rate and really good matches. CM Punk was kind of that guy. And then you get guys like Daniel Bryan, again, all former sort of Ring of Honor guys that brought that to the equation. And his perspective seems to be AEW leans way too much into that, as opposed to a ratio of you get the good matches, but then you also got to get the characters, you got to get the stories, you got to get the promos. Pro wrestling, in his estimation, seemingly is a mix of all that stuff, not just let's put on good match, good match, good match. And I thought that was particularly interesting coming from him, a guy who is so associated with really good match guy,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, probably even more than that, he's associated with really good promo guy,
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And then he did talk. I think the first question Ariel asked him was there an audible call at the Rumble? Were you supposed to win, essentially? He goes, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No audible. Nothing changed.
Yeah.
He talks about the timeline of him returning. He says, essentially, he got a call from Nick Khan, or talked to Nick Khan, the Monday before Thanksgiving. So the Monday before Survivor Series, which is on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. He said he talked to Triple H via FaceTime because Triple H wanted to, as best they could, talk face-to-face on Thanksgiving Day. And then he had to have his lawyer look over, I would assume, a contract Thanksgiving Day, sign the contract at the arena right before he goes into Gorilla to make his return.
Yeah. Yeah. I love pro wrestling because that shit, like, same with like Money in the Bank 2011. He signed his extension there. Like that was determining,
before the match,
is he going to win this match or not?
Yeah.
Which, the nature of pro wrestling being so like, he's not docu-signing stuff 3 weeks before. I mean, so other wrestlers are, but it could be such a situation where Gorilla sign the deal, hit the music, and then go do the thing.
He talked about during his chat with Nick Khan that Nick Khan assumed there was a no compete. And Nick Khan was like, essentially, it seemed like Nick Khan's attitude was, don't need to rush it. We'll have you come back for the Rumble.
Yeah.
Even with the knowledge that there's no non-compete. And CM Punk's like, no. No, we're doing it. We got to do it this weekend. That's where the business is at.
Chicago's the business.
We got to do it in Chicago.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more discussed. It's a wide-ranging interview. It's almost 2 hours long. If you're interested in the world of professional wrestling, I highly recommend you check it out. It's really good, as always.
Yeah.
Punk, forthright, as best he can be.
Yeah. He also referenced, because he was cursing up a storm as well, and he referenced the cursing stuff. How Rock is allowed. He's allowed certain things, and he's like, if you're somebody who's lower on the card and you want to go out there and curse, you better darn well make sure that it's better than what The Rock used the curse words for.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, you're going to get in trouble. You're not going to justify it if you're not up to that quality.
Yeah.
And I thought that was an interesting perspective.
I mean,
of it
he
as
pretty
well.
much says, yes, you have someone like The Rock who's got so much equity in the world of wrestling and like literally in WWE. He's on the board of directors,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Of course he's allowed to have that privilege. He says, so am I.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that's what he mentions. He says, is it unfair? Maybe. He says, I understand that perspective.
Yeah.
But, and that's what he mentioned the bit about if you're not a main event guy and you go out there and cuss, you got to be just as good, if not better, than The Rock. Otherwise, you're gonna get in trouble for it.
Also sounds like his the triceps tear, and part of it, he said, maybe it was a mental thing because I didn't have anywhere to go, but he said it's been night and day in terms of the recovery of both.
And he was very cagey about saying, because Ariel asked him, when are you going to be back? And he said, he did say, hopefully half the time it took for the other one, but he was like, it's more of a business decision, he said. So I'd assume is as to when to bring it back in terms of maximizing impact
Yeah.
on storylines and stuff.
Because it was 9 months, the last one.
Yeah.
And if we're talking, 4.5 months, which would be half of 9, if my math is correct.
That would be accurate. That'd be coming up June or so, early July, so Money in the Bankish.
Mid-June or early July.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is well in advance of, the SummerSlam timetable.
Oh,
that
yeah.
I thought it would be. And he said that they're running a bunch of shows. I think he said, they're running some shows in the summer that haven't even been announced yet or something. And that's a possibility. So it seems like, I don't know how it's going to shake out at WrestleMania in terms of Drew McIntyre, who, obviously him and Seth and Punk, they all got, they're all sort of embroiled in this thing. But man, they've set up some really intriguing possibilities here.
They have.
And God, I just honestly like, seeing this version of Punk and seeing somebody who seems to be so interested in, I liked when he talked about, when I think of, being the booker, like that mindset. When I talked to Triple H about why are you doing it this way? Why aren't you doing it this way? It seems like such an ideal situation for a guy who's so creative.
Yeah.
And to get to see him, in probably the last couple of years of his in-ring career anyways, be able to tell some stories, under a guy like Triple H, where the collaborative atmosphere might be more collaborative, I should say. The atmosphere might be more collaborative as opposed to Vince McMahon. I didn't get a chance to see the Roman Reigns documentary, the Bray Wyatt documentary.
Yeah, I haven't yet. I did see the clip where he was talking about not wanting the Shield to break up and not wanting to be a face afterwards.
Yeah, and saying, when you don't have fuck you money, you have to just be a good soldier, which is kind of shade towards Vince McMahon's book.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's talking about reading the scripts, and there's, B-roll of him reading the scripts. And he's like, again, it's like, this isn't stuff that I would say for myself.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have the leverage to tell him no, then you kind of just, as he said, you have to be a good soldier and do it.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about at least some of that stuff on tomorrow's Raw review as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try my darndest to watch the Bray documentary when we're done today. I watched a brief clip of Bo Dallas talking about when Bray passed, and I was out. I just finished shooting hoops outside, and I started to cry because that's rough. That's rough. It is so rough.
That is.
But anyways, we're gonna dive into our recaps here. But first, I believe we have some bills to pay, Larson.
Yeah. This episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp, Steve.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I feel like my social battery ain't what it used to be. I've been attending some more get-togethers of late now that the weather's getting warmer. Winter is coming to an end, and I kind of feel like, I'm ignoring my social battery a bit and spreading my social energy a bit thin.
Yeah, man, I hear you. And I often ask myself, what's the right amount of socializing for Steve? And how do I recharge my social battery after socializing?
I ask myself those same questions. And whether you thrive around people or feel like you need some time alone, therapy can give you the self-awareness to build a social life that doesn't drain your battery. Back when I was dealing with severe anxiety in my mid-20s, my social battery was basically running on empty. 0. But therapy helped me learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety so I can get back to feeling more comfortable in social situations.
And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is completely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. All you got to do to get started is fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. Then you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
I should be getting my lawnmower back at the end of the week.
Oh, very exciting.
In which case, I can finally take care of my backyard. You could expend some of your social battery to barbecue in my backyard.
Oh.
Just me and you.
Oh, there we go.
No families allowed. It's just me and you.
It's like us playing basketball without the basketball.
and no talking.
No talking. That's my
really
favorite,
weird barbecue.
probably my favorite thing to do while we play basketball is talk.
Yeah, sure.
And not like, hey, what's going on in the world? It's just a little chatter, that you're shooting a free throw, and I just start talking.
Yeah, you like to make me laugh. Yeah, you do talk, but then you get weird, and you're like, I won't talk anymore.
No, that's me. That's me getting in your head more.
Oh, is that what
that's all ploy, man. It's all the mind games I play out there.
God damn, that's like a head-sized jar you got there. That's a massive jar.
I like to keep hydrated.
I guess so. That thing is like, what is that like?
How many ounces are
it's
in
40? Is that 40?
Yes, that's no up to right here. It's only 24.
Oh, really?
So it's 8, 16,
it's awfully
24.
wide.
So all the way to the brim, it's got to be 32.
That's a girthy water.
It is
water
heavy when it's full.
There.
It's thick glass too.
You know what I love also is that your frame on this side over here from my frame, it's like similarly colored, like it's because I got the blue light over here.
Yeah.
And so when you reach over, it's as if you're reaching into my frame.
It's a magic trick. Look, I produced water out of thin air.
Oh man. Anyways, let's talk about SmackDown. There's a storm coming, and her name is Jade Cargill.
And Jade's entrance. Holy shit!
I love that they do the thing now where you got the intense fog machine so much so that it seems like they just appear.
Yeah,
they just teleport. The Rock, they did the same thing with the Rock.
Yeah, that's Cody's. It's Cody's entrance too.
Yeah,
all the fog and the fireworks go off, and it's like he teleports there.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And they did that for Jade. And I've seen plenty of chatter over the weekend about the debut of Jade Cargill in WWE versus the debut of Mercedes Moné in AEW. And it is an interesting contrast in, because two high profile women's wrestlers crossing companies. It's an interesting profile in what WWE does very well, and that's presentation. CM Punk referred to that in his interview. I was about to mention that, and then I think I dropped it, but that was one of the things that he mentioned in the interview was, what does AEW need to work on? Basically, was kind of the question. And he says,
I think he said environment and presentation. Yeah,
environment and presentation. Yeah, and presentation is definitely one of those things. What is it? Because this goes back to you think about 1999 when Chris Jericho showed up, and somehow, some way, he just came off as a bigger deal. What is that? What is that thing? What is it?
So here's what I think. It's a couple things in terms of presentation, and it's not across the board, but for the presentations that we all remember that were the most impactful, I feel like the presentation is informed by who the character is, and they know. Again, not across the board, but, for the ones that we remember, that for the characters that demand it, they know how to build the mystique.
Yeah.
And, we saw this, and again, it's not across the board, but so much of The Undertaker's aura was the mystique generated by his entrance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure, yeah.
It wasn't like Mark Calloway had a ton of charisma.
Dude, I'm just going to point this out really quick because I honestly think, because what you're saying is absolutely true. It's a little on the nebulous side, right? It's still on the abstract side, and we're trying to nail it down, and that's what we're trying to do. FSI says AEW doesn't have good lighting or camera work. Is it just a matter of camera work and lighting?
I guess that's what I was, in broader terms, I guess maybe that's what I was trying to get to, because I don't know.
Razzle dazzle, baby.
Because there are entrances, and there has been entrances in AEW that do that. I mean, I think House of Black's entrance, them turning the lights off and coming back on when they teleport the ring, is overdone. And when they turn the lights off for other people to make their way to the ring, there's like, okay, House of Black is coming. There's no calling card when it comes to that. That's kind of the issue. But there are entrances in AEW that I feel are really well executed in presentations that are well done. I wonder how much of those, though, are informed by the talent more so than people in production.
No, that could be. I think they've got a whole. I honestly think some of it is baked into the history of WWE. knowledge that's passed down from department to department and people that work there understand, because, say what you will about Vince McMahon, he understood presentation. He stole a lot of ideas from a lot of places, but then he gave it the old razzle dazzle, and he understood what big time national presentation should look like, and basically just throw money at production and they do it right.
But it's not just put a bunch of pyro and some dramatic lighting, it's got to fit the character.
Well, what's interesting too is I was looking, and this is I was looking the other day for it's for our Wrestling What Ifs episode that's up right now, and on the thumbnail I've got a shot of Cody Rhodes in AEW. You know how I know it's how everybody knows it's Cody Rhodes in AEW, because he's wearing like jeans and a gray t-shirt and like his cheesy American Nightmare merch jacket.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be caught dead wearing jeans and a gray t-shirt on television in WWE. It's a fresh suit every time.
I mean, to be fair, Cody wore a lot of suits in AEW too. But yes, there was instances where he had the Nightmare Family sweatsuit on.
Yeah.
And no, I understand your point. And if there has been, I didn't see it, so I'll take your word for it. People comparing Mercedes' debut in AEW versus Jade's. With Mercedes, you have a song that's strictly made for the crowd to chant CEO.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And I understand the perspective, and it's worked so far. But in terms of building mystique, that's not the theme that, at least I feel, does that.
Yeah.
Whereas, and they don't really do anything in terms of the lighting per se.
Yeah, right.
For her entrance.
No,
whereas everything about Jade's is, mystique. Like superstar
light portal, because that's what it looks like. It's like
he has a laser that opens up. Yeah. And then there's fog and confetti or glitter or something, and she walks out and she's silhouetted and she does the pose, and it's fucking incredible.
Oh, it's amazing. It's absolutely outstanding. And I cannot get over. I was so geeked out to see, because I didn't watch SmackDown live.
Yeah.
But I did follow some of it on social media, and the image of her and Naomi and Bianca, I cannot get over how fucking important, how big, and how much that image just means.
Yep.
Oh, from a cultural standpoint, from moving things forward standpoint, from, oh my God.
Yep.
That image was so powerful of her, Naomi, and Bianca. It gave me
chills. Yep.
Goosebumps. Like The Rock.
Yep.
I thought that was absolutely stunning. And so she comes down, they'd been building this, the numbers game, 2 ain't going to cut it against Damage Control. They got too many. And so Bianca and Naomi, they get the beat down. The crowd's chanting Bailey. There were some people who you could tell were chanting Jade, but the crowd was chanting Bailey. And then like her music kicks in, and she doesn't do the run. The presence of her slowly walking comes down, takes out everybody. That power bomb, that pop up on Dakota Kai was, oh my gosh.
Yep.
She kicked Asuka halfway across the room. It was great. And then manhandles Kyrie up into a Jaded.
Yeah.
And then basically pins her.
Yeah.
And the crowd's counting with the pin. Oh my gosh. And then they all stand together, in opposing Damage Control. That's the match.
Yeah.
And we had speculated that would be the match.
Yeah.
And man, what a killer SmackDown debut, whatever you want to call it, for Jade Cargill.
It was awesome.
Nailed it. They nailed it.
Absolutely. And this isn't something that came out of nowhere, her aligning with Bianca and Naomi. This is something they've been planting the seeds for at least a few weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
When Damage Control turned on Bailey, one of the first people to step up to Damage Control was Jade.
Yeah.
So it was tremendous, and I appreciate on SmackDown the amount of time and creative energy they're putting into this Damage Control Bailey story.
Yeah,
and now with Bianca and Naomi.
Yeah.
It feels like it's a story that's really well developed.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, it's been really well executed, and it's great. They're giving it the time for it to develop.
Yeah.
And when you have those moments like Jade coming out to help Naomi and Bianca, and people lose their mind because it's so awesome. You know, they've laid the groundwork for it. People are invested in the story. And
The
that's
power
what
of that.
this is the response. That's the response that you get when you spend the time trying to tell stories building up to wrestling matches.
Yeah. Yeah. And I cannot get over just the absolute sea change of, as opposed to accidentally stumbling into good story moments versus you can manufacture these, you know, and the power of a single image, you know, whether it's all three of them pointing, because they're after they went up there, all three of them pointing at the sign was awesome. But that last image where Mania is behind him and you can see the look on Jade Cargill, such a powerful character in the first place. And to see the look of just like giddiness on all of their faces, like, look at how powerful we are right now. How many little girls are watching that?
I know.
And saying, wow, this is something awesome. Yeah, I can't get over just how awesome that image was. They
was great.
Nailed
was
it.
awesome.
Presentation, WWE, they just got it. They got it so perfect.
They do. They absolutely do. Elsewhere on SmackDown.
Elsewhere on SmackDown, Carlito's so sad. Dude. So we had the setup where Santos and Dominic Mysterio and the rest of Legado, they're there facing off with the LWO, right? Ray and his dudes come out. And I'll never forget. So Dom's like, okay, Ray, it's going to be me and Santos against you and a partner of your choosing. Who's it going to be? Who do you got? He runs down everybody. The crowd starts chanting Carlito.
Oh, they so wanted to be Carlito.
And they cut to a close-up of Carlito's face, and he's got this look on it like, it's not going to be me, and that's not cool. But these people clearly want it to be Carlito. The people like Carlito because he's cool. And it's not him, and there was no pop for Dragon Lee.
Nope.
Ray said, my partner's going to be Dragon Lee.
The newest member of the LWO.
Yeah.
Dragon Lee. And everybody's like, oh, it's not Carlito?
Not Carlito. We want the guy with the apple. Dude, why aren't they, you know, man, they got these older dudes like Carlito, and I get it. You know, Triple H is it's the depth guy thing. I get it. But man, if people are just asking for this thing, give it to them. They got to put those titles on Truth and Miz, because Truth is getting some of the biggest pops right now.
I know he is.
And that crowd wanted Carlito so bad. And then the poor Dragon Lee comes out, and like people are like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, it was pretty obvious. The crowd was just all almost in unison shouting for Carlito, and then they announced Dragon Lee, and the collective just kind of, oh, all right.
And they cut to a close-up of Carlito, and he's just like, yeah, you know, it could be me, but no, I guess not.
Maybe that's intentional. Maybe it's a story beat. Maybe Carlito's gonna follow Santos and turning on Ray. Who knows?
Well, if nothing else, hopefully it shows people backstage. You know, they do seem to be listening to the people, and maybe Carlito will get, you know, something like it. Maybe, you know, even if it's not intentional, maybe they will see that there is still some juice left in Carlito. And they can run with that in some way, shape, or form. You know, give him a proper feud or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess before we get to the SmackDown recap, we got some memberships, some super chats over here on the YouTube. Halucha Lucha, new member, welcome, thank you. That's a good segue to talk about the Friendo Club setup. Steve, can you tell the good people what the Friendo Club setup is and why it's important, especially as we approach WrestleMania weekend this weekend?
Because I know that a lot of the friendos out there probably want to prove that theirs is superior. Their what, Steve? Their prediction acumen. That's right. I'm talking about the WrestleMania predictions challenge. You could be the new Friendo Club Big Blue predictions champion. Right now, our current champion, Muted Mayday, is walking in as champion, but will he have his WrestleMania moment, or will it be a new Friendo That's right. The big WrestleMania Predictions Challenge is coming up at WrestleMania. And the way to participate is by joining the Friendo Club setup. You can do that one of two ways. Go to patreon.com/Steven Larson, or you can click join right here, youtube.com/Steven Larson. What are you doing over there?
I spilled some coffee on my desk, so I'm trying to find something to wipe it off with.
Oh no, the thumbnail's now Larson spills everything. I think I put that in the thumbnail. CM Punk spills everything. What does that even mean?
Cross out CM Punk, put Larson, and just like me sitting at a huge. It's like those pictures you've had of people falling on puddles. Just change the puddle into a puddle of coffee. There you go.
No, coffee sounds good right now, but so does the Friendo Club setup. We dropped a new Friendo cast today, this morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. And it's got it all. My goodness gracious. This is an hour and 20-minute long bonus episode today that we dropped. Talk about Larson drops. He's like, hey, let's do some NBA fantasy booking. Okay, cool. That took 20 minutes. There was still another hour where we talk about every subject under the sun because we ask our friendos out there with the Friendo Club setup to ask us non-wrestling questions, and we don't short shrift any of these, man. We went deep on a lot of topics.
There's literally 3 topics on this most recent Friendo cast that could have been their own podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. We don't talk about wrestling. It's just us chatting about whatever.
Us chatting about all sorts of different topics. We went at one person was like, "Hey, I'm in my early 20s, not quite sure what to do with my life." We did 30 minutes on that.
Yeah.
We talk about a lot of things in our weekly bonus episode on FriendoCast, and it's exclusive for the Friendo Club setup. It's offered if you're on the Patreon. We also offer it as an audio download as well. So we got that. And then also, of course, access to our question threads for our episodes here at Going In Raw. So be sure to check out the Friendo Club setup. Again,
yes,
2 ways to get it. Patreon.com/Steven Larson. Just click on Friendo Club setup, or go to youtube.com/Steven Larson and click join. Either way you do it, it's $5 a month. And yeah, we have a Friendo Club setup member here in the YouTube chat. AJ Otani has been a member now for 6 months, says happy belated Easter. I'd love to send you guys my mini review of every WrestleMania when it's done. Wow. A mini review of every WrestleMania.
All right. Sounds good.
The Ashton
PO456. Sorry, there's another member here. Says, do you guys see Jade, Bianca, and Naomi team as a new team bad or as a one-time thing?
Oh, like their own faction?
Like a faction, yeah.
I don't think a faction is necessary. Sometimes that could be a bit on the limiting side. But I don't know. I guess we'll just sort of see where they're at after WrestleMania. And maybe they'll team again for Backlash. I don't know. The Ashton Chevalier here has been a member now for 8 months. Thank you very much. Also, J Mart with the $2 super chat says, we'll say guarantee. Oh yeah.
Referencing Punk saying the guaranteed money is a bad motivator, or isn't a motivator. I don't think I necessarily agree with that. But that's from his perspective. So it was like a hard and fast statement from him. It was just a thought, seemingly, as he put it out there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's great that wrestlers are getting guaranteed money for putting their bodies on the line and not being so reliant on external factors in terms of how they get paid. Yeah.
I kind of feel like, if you're going to have, it's seemingly like listening to him talk, if you're going to have guaranteed money, you got to have some enforcement on doing your job. And because it's one thing, like, you hear about that in WCW, like Eric Bischoff got allegedly, according to rumor and legend, I don't know if he ever confirmed this, locked in a closet by the NWO. That to me is not a serious person, right? And so if you're going to offer this guaranteed money, which can, enable people to get lazy, or can you actually cultivate an environment where they want to work hard for that guaranteed money?
Yeah.
And it seems like you got to have one if you're going to have the other.
Yeah. Ashton Chevalier, member for 8 months. Oh, you got that already. I'm.
And then Griga here gifted a membership to the community. Thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. Kyle Maracini here has been a member for a year now. Says, hey, friendos, thanks for being awesome, and thank you for bringing me back to wrestling. the Mamba God here, a new channel club member, a new Friendo Club setup member, and of course, probably my favorite name here on the YouTube chat, Big Horny Dude, has been now a Friendo Club setup member for 15 months. He says, well worth it for the last 15 months.
Love the testimonials. That's what I
love
like
the testimonials. Yeah,
love
those
the
are great.
testimonials. We got a super chat here from Coach John Pliskin. Says, in honor of Roadhouse, who do you want having your back in a bar fight, Terry Funk or Conor McGregor?
Man, Conor McGregor, he seems to be a bit on the fritz lately. If you watch some of his interviews and whatnot,
way of putting it. Give me Terry Funk.
Glitching out a little bit, that Conor McGregor. So I'm with you. Give me Terry Funk. Come on, Steve. Let's go fight these guys.
Kyle, this is Maricini, member for 12 months, says, hey, friendos, thanks for being awesome. And you got this one. See, I'm behind. What am I doing here?
It's all good. I
already read that. I'm behind.
Anyways, Smackdown started now that we're almost an hour deep into the show.
That's probably what it is. We've already been talking for an hour and haven't talked about the match-by-match, segment breakdown of SmackDown yet.
Well, start out with a recap of Rock beating down on Cody.
And a bridged one. We got a longer one later on.
Yeah, and there was a whole social media post of the beatdown after the camera stopped rolling, where The Rock was cursing up a storm, saying, fuck your script. Yeah, The Rock said, fuck your script. That's what he said. And then, so we had that, and then we had Solo, Jimmy, and Paul Heyman arriving at the arena. Bianca Belair arrives, as does Damage Control, so the stage is set. First match, bitch! Randy Orton and Kevin Owens versus Pretty Deadly, who got the surprise win here thanks to Logan Paul taking advantage of a ref distraction on the outside of the ring. Comes in, lays out Kevin Owens with that vicious right punch, right-hand punch with the brass knuckles as well. Afterwards, and then that allowed Elton Prince to get the pin on Kevin Owens. I think it was Elton Prince. I still don't know the difference between the two.
Oh, I have it here in the notes who it was.
Yes, Prince covered for the win. So then they're celebrating. They're like, oh my God, we got this win. And then Orton gets in the ring. Is like, what the hell happened? And then they play the replay up on the Tron, and Orton's watching that. And he realizes, hey, this guy's probably still under the ring. Hey. And then he's sort of pulling the crowd as to like, okay, where is he? Is this side over here? And so he goes down, he opens it up, and Logan hadn't moved a bit. He was just there. And so he pulls Paul from under the ring, goes off on him, sets up for a move on the announce table, but then Pretty Deadly come over, hit him with a chop block, put him back in the ring, looked to hit him with spilled milk, but KO hits Prince with a stunner. Orton hits Wilson with an RKO. They both lock their eyes on Paul. Orton chases him through the crowd. Kevin Owens corners him near the ramp. Paul runs backstage, and they do that great tracking shot along with Orton. He chucks a chair at him, and then Paul steals somebody's classic Corvette. What a beautiful car that was.
Yeah.
And beats feet out of the arena.
Speeds off. Hey, we got a couple membership updates here on the YouTube, Steve. Ashen Chevalier gift in the membership. Thank you. And then another great name here on the YouTube. Johnny Night Moves.
Night Moves.
It's not a fan of Bob Seger, sorry.
That's a good song. Oh, that's a good song, man.
But anyways, Johnny Night Moves, great names. 13 months member, says ready for a busy streaming weekend.
Looking for the night moves. I hear the Bee Gees do that song.
Wait, you want to hear the Bee Gees do that song?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Okay, yeah, I'd listen to it, but sorry, I'm not a Bob Seger guy.
I'd listen to it. After that, we had this really well done Io Sky filmed promo.
Yeah.
She says, Bayley started Damage Control because she was lost. It was never about helping new talent. She saw an opportunity to latch onto us and get in the spotlight again. The only reason she wanted us to succeed is so she could take the credit, because she's a narcissist who loves to claim she's a victim, and now everybody feels sorry for her. Your hypocrisy disgusts me. However, I know Bayley played a role in me becoming champion, but I made Bayley relevant. Dakota and I felt obligated to keep her around, but our patience wore thin. We got tired of her. We outgrew her, so I did what needed to be done, and it shows a shot of her dropping her with the moonsault. Says, there was a time when I saw Bayley as my friend, and I'll regret that for the rest of my life. She's an embarrassment and a tragedy for this company. I hope after WrestleMania, I never see her again. And then they do the thing where the producer's like, okay, because they do like the nice, slick produced video with B-roll and stuff, and they sort of widen out. And the producer's like, okay, cut. And then whoop-ha, Bailey attacks her. And they have like a really vicious beatdown sort of or fight there on the set, on the photo set there. And then Bailey throws a light stand at her, tackles her through the backdrop, and then a bunch of people come in and break it up. I like that, how they do the thing, and then you see it being filmed, and that's when they do the thing. I was like, oh, what's...
I know.
It's pretty cool.
It's good. It's well done. So then Nick Aldis is in the ring. He's there to introduce the newest SmackDown superstar. Says his main goal was to make SmackDown the number one show in wrestling and sports entertainment. Believes the acquisition of this next individual takes him a step closer to that. He says, welcome to SmackDown, Jade Cargill. She comes to the ring. Absolutely incredible entrance. Laser opens up. She walks through a portal. You have fog. You have glitter or confetti. She's silhouetted doing the pose. Fantastic. So she comes to the ring, grabs the mic, and says, hell, if you ask me, Nick, it's about damn time. Since we finally put pen to paper, let me make myself crystal clear. We have one of the best female rosters in the world, but they're not Jade Cargill. They're not the headline, not a once-in-a-lifetime superstar. Let me give you another weather update. The storm has arrived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, that's good stuff. That's really good stuff. After that, we had a Damage Control interview. Kayla says, it's been an eventful night for the women's division. Dakota's like, Jade, what has Jade done except just stand there? Bailey's going to be embarrassed next week at WrestleMania by EO. And you know what the best part of SmackDown's going to be tonight? It's going to be when I beat Bianca in the middle of that ring. She wasn't even a thought in our minds, and yet she decided to reinsert her back in our business by helping Naomi. She went through 2 years of Damage Control beatdowns. She wants to call herself the strongest, the roughest. Maybe if she was the smartest, she wouldn't have gotten involved in Damage Control's business.
Then we see Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They're walking up to Nick Aldis backstage. And Isla's just like, they're not doing the supernatural witch thing anymore.
They're not creepy witches anymore. Yeah.
No. And so Isla's just pitching idea after idea after idea after idea to Nick Aldis. And Alba is like, okay, we got to get you out of here. So she like escorts her out of that part of the hallway, and they walk down. Aldis keeps walking. AJ Styles steps up, says, are you sure LA Knight isn't going to be here tonight? And Aldis says, like I told you yesterday, I asked LA Knight not to be here. And AJ just goes, should have told him.
Should have told him. Apparently, according to NYC Snowman, Becky just attacked Rhea Ripley during her interview.
Cody Miles has this in Twitch.
Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, wow. Hot heat.
So then we got Grayson Waller and Austin Theory taking on Street Profits. This was a semifinal match, getting the ladder match at WrestleMania. You know, we were saying you'd think ladder match, WrestleMania, you want Montez in that match because he could do something incredible. They went the other way. They had the AOP cost Street Profits this match, so Waller and Theory are going to be in it instead.
What do you make of the deal about, like, I think Meltzer, those other guys?
Oh, well.
Grain of salt. Believe it when you see it.
Yeah.
So there was a report from those other guys.
So, I mean, like, if that were to happen, maybe night one, that mystery spot is Waller effect. They have the Legends on. The Legends all hit their finishers on Waller and Theory. And then they write them out of the match because they took all those finishers. But that really sucks for Theory and Waller. Not only get hit by all the finishers of Legends, they lose their shot at maybe winning the tag titles. That would be kind of bogus.
Who's supposed to be in their spot?
I think Pretty Deadly.
Oh, was it Pretty Deadly? Yeah, I don't know about all that. We'll see. We'll see
how that plays out. See how it plays out.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
So the finish saw Waller throw Montez to the floor. So then Dawkins punches Waller out of the ring. Theory rolls up Dawkins, gets a 2 count there. Theory's looking for a rolling drop kick. Instead, Dawkins counters with a sky high. Ford tags in. He goes up top, but on the Tron. So earlier, Lashley's we talk highly of WWE's production. earlier before the match, there's this bit backstage where Lashley is hyping up the Street Profits. You couldn't hear anything. This was not mic'd well at all. I couldn't hear anything Lashley was saying in the segment.
Yeah.
So anyways, on the Tron, we're backstage again in the same locker room. Lashley and B-Fab are laid out. Cross and Scarlett are standing there. And Cross says, hey, Street Profits, I know you're focused on WrestleMania, because he's got like a bottle of champagne in his hand. He says, you're missing a really good party right now. So Dawkins leaves the ring and starts walking up the ramp.
Yeah.
Montez turns his focus back to the ring, looking for a frog splash, but Theory gets his knees up, rolls him up to get the win. So as soon as that bell rings, AOP's in there attacking the Street Profits. Lays them out totally. So Cross, Scarlett, Paul Ellering come to the ring. AOP hits the Street Profits with a super collider. Lashley, still like nursing his injuries from the beatdown earlier, walks to the ramp with the refs trying to hold him back, but he gets in the ring. He lays out Cross, but he's eventually overwhelmed. And then AOP hold him up so Cross can hit him with the cross hammer.
Yeah.
So there's, I can't remember who said it, but there was apparently they're going to do a Philadelphia street fight between Final Testament and Lashley and Street Profits.
That's a good move. I think that was reported by those other guys as well. But yeah, if that's the case, that's a good move. Get them there at WrestleMania.
Oh yeah. Then when it's the Santos Escobar promo that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in the ring flanked by Angel and Humberto. He says, I hate to be that guy, but I told you so, and I want you to remember, especially you little kids there with the Rey Mysterio mask, it was me who put Rey on the shelf for months. I know he didn't get the infection or the amputation just like I wanted, but I did get the next best thing. I got to beat Rey in the center of this ring last week. He is the greatest luchador of all time. At least he was. I outsmarted you, Rey, and all it took was one phone call to a man who despises you just as I do. So Dom comes through. Of course, the crowd's booing. Santos tells the crowd to shut up, and Dom says, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, I want to apologize. I know we didn't see eye to eye at first, and I've said this before, but now I can say it to your face. You are right. They shake hands. They hug. Dom says, I'll do everything in my power to make that deadbeat's life a living hell. Santos then says, see what you did, Rey. You always turn your back on the people who love you, and I'll be damned if a deadbeat, good for nothing. Before he can finish that thought, though, he's interrupted by Rey and the LWO.
That's right. So Rey comes down. He's like, Dom, what a shame. I truly believe that I was done fighting you, son. But now that Santos dragged you into this and you clearly want to be a part of it, I came to the realization that both of you, the two men that I despise the most, it's truly divine intervention. I now have the opportunity to beat some respect into both of you. So let me spit out a challenge. How about both of you versus myself and a partner of my choosing in a tag match? The crowd starts chanting, Carlito, Carlito. And you get a shot close of Carlito, and he's got like a half smile on his face like, it's not going to be me. And then Dom says, okay, well, which one of these dorks? Is it going to be the one from the Lollipop? Because Raul Mendoza is kind of short. The one from the Lollipop Guild? The one with the hair? Carlito. The non-Latino? Talking to Joaquin Wild. And then Rey says, no, it's the newest member of the LWO, Dragon Lee. Somebody earlier in chat was like, I thought Dragon Lee was already in the LWO.
Well, I think Corey was like, oh, now it's official. It's officially official.
Okay.
He's come to help him out before, but I don't think he ever wore the shirt.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
The world of wrestling, if you got the shirt on, so long as you didn't take it off right afterwards and then swerve him, you're a member of the faction.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So then Dragon Lee comes to the ring, so Elektra Lopez steps up to Zelina. Zelina slaps her. This instigates a massive brawl. Towards the end of it, Dom's looking for a 619 on Rey, but then Carlito throws him out of the ring, and then Dragon Lee takes out all Legado and Dom with the senton off the top rope to the floor.
Yeah. After that, we had that'll be a good match.
Mm-hmm.
Dom and Santos, really. Dragon Lee should be in there to eat the pin. Rey can eat the pin even. Dom and Santos should win that. Because they'll probably
think they're going to, though.
What's that?
I don't think they're going to, because Santos already got his win on Rey.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because they got to do hair versus mask next year. And Rey's going to win that one. Maybe not.
No, if Rey wins this year, he can't win next year. He can't win 3 years in a row at WrestleMania. Dom's got to get a win over him at some point.
Yeah, that's what you would think. Dom's growing that hair out, though.
Yeah, no.
It's
Imagine if he
super
grows it out
long.
for another year.
I know. My goodness gracious. After that, we got Bianca backstage warming up. Naomi steps in, says, I wanted to wish you well in your match tonight against Dakota and let you know if they try any of their usual mess, I got your back, just like you had mine last week. And Bianca says, I really appreciate that. And after talking to you last week, I realized I can't be mad at you for doing what I was doing the past 2 years against Damage Control. I was here fighting for my life, but at this point, it's not even about them anymore. You're here, and if there's any chance to take them down, it's now with us. And Naomi says, I get it, but I'm here now. We're in this together, and we're going to get them one way or another starting tonight. And they hype each other up, and they seem like they genuinely like each other.
Yeah.
It was fun. Did they bleep out something Naomi said?
I thought so, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think she got too much into the moment and said, I don't know. I don't know what she said.
Then we're in the Judgment Day clubhouse.
Yeah.
And Rhea says, what's going on? WrestleMania? Biggest show of the year, and we're not communicating. I mean, did you know that Dom was going to go out there? And everybody's like, no, we didn't know. And Finn says, never said a word to me. Priest follows up, says, wait, Rhea, hold on. You're saying he didn't smarten you up about this? What is Priest in here getting in people's faces for?
Dude, he's
instigating stuff all over the place.
I
Like,
know.
Rhea's just like asking, where's the communication at?
Yeah.
And here's Priest there trying to drive a wedge.
Oh, dude, he's throwing everybody under the bus. He's
He
just
really
trying
is.
to like split everybody up. I know.
He really is. So Rhea says no, and then Priest says, that's odd. Is there something you need to tell us? So before she can answer, again, he's got this insecurity about not being the leader of Judgment Day.
Yeah, it's yeah.
So Dom steps in, and Rhea says to him, Dom, what's going on? I told you communication is key. Why didn't you tell me you're going out there? And Dom says, Mommy, I'm sorry. I wanted to make you proud. I want to make Judgment Day proud. I wanted to handle my business. I'm sorry. And Finn then says, is there anything else you need to tell us? And Dom says, yeah, I think I need to go see the doctor. And JD's like, I got you. Let's go to medical. So Priest says, this WrestleMania is way too important, not only for us as a group, but for us as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rhea takes note of that and says, is there something you need to tell me? And Finn steps in and says, whoa, the only thing that needs to be said is that WrestleMania is going to belong to Judgment Day. Priest is going to put himself before Judgment Day in that tag match. They're probably going to lose.
What's more likely to happen? Judgment Day has the World Heavyweight Championship in their group, or they break up before Priest cashes in?
The latter.
You think so?
Yes. That briefcase, since he's won it, has been an albatross for them as a faction. It needs to come to a head.
Man, I don't know. I feel like there's more complications with him cashing that thing in, because he's not going to be like, Judgment Day's kind of except for Rhea, Judgment Day's kind of hapless.
Yeah.
So he's going to have that title. He's probably going to be booked as a weak champion. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of more interesting with him not being as dominant as Rhea is, but being in like the title. You think it's going to make a difference, but as that's a Band-Aid,
Yeah.
Like that's not going to make things better. I kind of want to see that.
I mean,
but
that's a
feel
good
like
point. You
might
could
be
have
right.
him win the title and him thinking now that he's World Heavyweight Champion, that will demand more respect from the other members of Judgment Day. But he's still kind of hapless.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Rhea's the leader.
Mm-hmm.
That's clear because she ain't losing at WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah.
And then you got Priest who is like, hey, I'm champion. I'm top guy. But he'd probably still need Judgment Day's help to win these matches.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So in that respect, he's kind of, it's probably not great for Damian Priest, but it could make for an interesting story, a bit of a paper champion in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He's got the rest of Judgment Day, boosting him up to championship level when he didn't exactly do it on his own.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Nothing about what he did is a real accomplishment,
Exactly.
Cash in an opportunistic manner, you're just sort of a chicken shit heel at that point.
You are.
After that, we had part of the tournament deal to get into WrestleMania, Legado del Fantasma versus New Catch Republic. Of course, New Catch Republic win this with a Burning Hammer.
Double burning hammer.
It's not the same. Like, because the thing about a burning hammer is that, like, in theory, they land right on their head.
You're getting dropped right on the crown of your head, yeah.
And this is nowhere close to that. What
just
they
kind of
should have done,
flop them over, yeah.
is taken some sort of like Birmingham reference, but use the Shaker Heights spike.
Oh my gosh. Woo!
Wow, that'd be horrible. How are they allowed to do that move? By the way, before we continue on, do us a solid. Hit that thumbs up. Right now, we've got 1,091 people watching with only 319 likes. That's like a little bit over 30%, if my math is correct.
Yeah.
Not into it. I want to get up to 50%.
That'd be 500 plus.
Oh, man. Smash that like button.
Yes, please.
And then also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Of course, we're going live on Saturday and Sunday for the WrestleMania 40. So the only way you'll be notified when we go live is by hitting the subscribe button and the notify bell. It notifies you. It's like, hey, listen, these guys are live. Go watch now.
Yeah. The notify bell is aptly named because it notifies you.
It notifies.
Not a misnomer.
No, not false advertising. We had a recap of Rock beating Cody again.
This was the full recap of that, not the bridge one that opened the show.
And then we're in the Bloodline locker room, and Heyman says, by the orders of the tribal chief, when you hear those words, you know something is about to happen. What do you think happened to Cody on Monday? The final boss took out Cody Rhodes. Why? By orders of the tribal chief. And the camera pans to Jimmy. He says, by these orders, Jay, you don't make it to WrestleMania. It'll be little brother versus big brother by orders of the tribal chief. And then it goes to Solo, and he's like, Jay, I'll see you next week. I'll take you out by orders of the tribal chief. And I'm like, fool, you're 0-34 since you beat Cena. Get out of here. You're not taking nobody out. Maybe to dinner. A succulent Chinese meal, perhaps. I don't think so, buddy. You're not taking anybody out.
Yeah.
The only order you're taking is you want some, fried rice.
The only thing you're taking
that?
Solo.
Big L. Throw your L's up, man. Throw your L's up for Solo. Add a couple L's to that Solo.
Yeah. So after that, we had AJ Styles. He comes to the ring. He says, it's been a little over a week. You know, you're the reason that he says to the fans because they're booing AJ. He says, you know, you're the reason that he came to my house and assaulted me in my front yard. I should have had him locked up and had his ass rot in jail and miss his first WrestleMania. But I got plans for LA Knight. I want the biggest possible spotlight for LA Knight, and that's WrestleMania. I'll expose him as the overachieving, under-talented piece of trash he is. I know Aldis said he asked LA Knight not to be here, but I guarantee you he's here somewhere. So where are you? You going to come down the aisle? No, you could be anywhere. You could be up there with these idiots talking about the fans. Says, you could be this cameraman here for all I know. So he goes and knocks the hat and headset, or at least the headset off the cameraman. And he's like, what? What are you going to do about it? Get out of my ring. So the crowd starts chanting for LA Knight, and some person jumps the barricade. And AJ goes, that's him. Get him. So the ringside security comes in and takes his mask off, and it's not LA Knight. So AJ, at this point, he's on the floor. He says, get him out of here. And so he says, are we done with the games? Because I will not be playing any games at WrestleMania. I swear, if I run into you tonight, I'll knock your teeth down your throat. So while he's saying all this, behind him, there's a production crew member who's poorly disguised LA Knight. So he takes the hat off, the glasses off, the wig, and the camera pans around as AJ's talking, and he could see LA Knight removing his disguise as he's finishing his thought. He turns around, LA Knight punches him. Brawl breaks out. Eventually, AJ flees through the audience. LA Knight picks up the mic and says, AJ, you talk about how I'm trash, but you're the biggest piece of human walking waste that I've ever seen. So I'm going to tell you like this. Run, hide, do anything you need. But at the end of the day, WrestleMania, I'm going to ask you, and I'm not going to tell you. You know whose game this is, with everybody saying,
LA Knight.
You're damn right.
Yeah. This was wonderfully cheesy.
Yes.
The disguise stuff, it's so dumb, but it fits so perfectly with this. LA Knight's probably going to get the win here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He should.
But I don't know what you do with AJ. He's jacked, though. He's so
massively
big.
Jacked.
He's so
I know.
big.
I don't know. They haven't been doing anything with AJ for a while.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
I don't know. We have a Tiffany Stratton video package next.
Oh, my.
And then we have our main event, Bianca Belair taking on Dakota Kai. This was a really good match.
Yeah, it was, man.
Bianca wins with the KOD. Basically, as soon as the rest hand counts the 3, Asuka and Kairi are in there, and they're attacking Bianca. Naomi runs down to make the save. Kairi blasts her from behind, which I think was like a pipe or something.
Mm-hmm.
So Bianca then gets to her feet. She tries to fight back. She's eventually overwhelmed by damage control, and that's when Jade's music hits.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't run to the ring.
Nope.
She does the walk with presence.
Mm-hmm.
And damage control. They pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets in the ring, lays them all out. Pump kick for Asuka. Powerbomb, Dakota Kai. Jaded for Kairi Sane. And then Bianca and Naomi get to their feet. They all stand together. It's awesome. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was, man, that was really good. It was really,
So
really
good.
good stuff. Let's talk about Collision.
If
You
we
said you
must.
wanted to try to get this done in 10 minutes.
I say this. It was pretty darn cool they had Matt Cardona open the cope or answer the cope open.
I thought that was awesome. Yeah.
It was a good match. They got history.
Really good match. Yeah.
Cardona was one of the edge heads years back.
True, with Brian Myers. Yeah.
Him and Brian Myers. It was a good match. It was cool to see. The main event, long, but it was fine. I don't know. I kind of feel like they should have opened the show with the tag match, and then the main event should have been Cope and Cardona.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder if they just thought, hey, people, our niche internet audience will will big pop if they know, like, Matt Cardona, they're going to start tuning in, because they'll be chattering about it online.
And this isn't the first time that AEW has approached their shows by having probably the marquee match on the card open to try to get viewers in immediately.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Get it? But sometimes in terms of the flow of the show, no disrespect to the Righteous and Lance Archer, they're just not booked as main eventers.
No,
They're not.
That's such an understatement. Yeah, totally.
And we like Lance Archer. Righteous are a good team, but when you have that match on the card, there's no drama. You know who's going to win.
I was pretty shocked because I didn't know who the main event was going in, and I texted you a picture of Vincent, and I was like, "This is our main event right here."
Yeah.
But yeah, the opener was good. Like I said, it was Adam Copeland versus Matt Cardona, answering the Cope-Ope, and even though Edge buried his finish, it was still a really competitive, really good match, and he ended up getting the win with the spear. Cope did to retain his the TNT title. Looks like $1 million on him, by the way.
Yeah.
It looks really good.
It does.
And with that crowd, he was like super over. So
yeah, they were
that
in
was cool.
London, Ontario.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So then afterwards, the lights go down, come back up. Malachi's in the ring opposite Cope. He's got like he didn't spit the mist at him, but he's got like the mist oozing out of his mouth a little bit. And then Buddy attacks Cope. Mark Briscoe runs the ring to make the save, but he gets wrecked by House of Black too. And then Eddie Kingston comes to the ring. Lights go down, come back up. House of Black is gone.
Yeah. And then later on, it was announced because there was like a promo. We're getting Eddie, Mark Briscoe, and Edge versus House of Black at Dynasty.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like maybe this is going to lead, hopefully, to a singles match with Malachi versus Cope.
I thought you were going to say for Buddy versus Cope.
Well, that's what it's probably gonna be.
Brody versus
That's
Cope.
probably
Certainly
what it's
not
gonna
Malachi versus Cope.
I'm desperate for a singles match. Please, someone. Somebody sent us like spoilers, like maybe Rampage or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was shot in it must have been after.
I think it was after Collision, yeah. And we're going to get a
Daniel
Malachi
said he was
singles.
challenging Malachi. Yeah, it was Malachi.
That's right, yeah.
In London, Ontario for a Rampage. I was like, this is Saturday. You can go back in time and air that match?
Oh, that's right. I didn't realize they're doing the thing. They're doing the Kevin Nash whiteboard because they're filming Collision and then Rampage. But then before that, you got Dynamite.
Yeah. So then we had FTR interviews, and Lexi's like, hey, you're the favorite to win this tag tournament, which they're 2-time tag champs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Cash is like, no, I don't feel like we're favorites because we haven't been doing our best work recently. We're on a bit of a losing streak. He just says we lost to Blackpool Combat Club.
Mm-hmm.
He says, but we can't look past the infantry. And Dax says, infantry is a Cinderella team. but we, FTR, have to win this tournament. So we love Cinderella teams, but tonight we must get this win.
You know we're going to get the win? After that, we had this really long acclaimed promo where, let's see here, Billy Gunn is saying, I'm pissed off at Jay White. You know I can get past being hit in the head with a chair, but I can't get past Jay breaking into my house. Next week, Jay White versus Billy Gunn, and then we're going to see how good you really are. So he's going to get hit with a Blade Runner there. Caster's up next.
Yeah.
He talks a lot, says a lot of nothing, and then Bowens is up, and he says, you know, I was proven right because I said Jay White was a coward because those 3 bullet bitches walked into Billy's home, and upon seeing Billy Gunn ran like cowards, and I don't blame them. Next week, their demise begins because everybody loves us.
Yeah.
Not the most inspired. It was
No.
really, what's up with these long Acclaim promos? And it's not even that they're long. They're so uninspired. It's like none of them want to be doing it.
There, you know, when the Acclaimed were arguably the most overact in all of AEW, there was an energy to their segments.
Yeah, there was.
Whether they were, you know, Caster was doing his raps before the matches, they were doing their music videos, they were doing interviews, whatever. There was an energy.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Poof.
Oh, gone.
It's gone.
Gone. They're like, this has become a chore now. It's become an absolute chore.
Yeah. So then we had FTR versus the Infantry. This is a really good match.
Yeah, this is really good. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
It was, and it was Carly Bravo was in this match a ton. It was a really good performance for both Sean Dean and Carly Bravo. So it's good to see the Infantry getting some TV time here. Not a huge surprise. FTR gets the win with the Shatter Machine. They advance. It's going to be FTR versus the Young Bucks in the finals of this tournament. Seems
yeah.
pretty
Oh,
clear.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Then we got a Ricky Starks and Big Bill interview. So Lexi's asking how they're feeling because they haven't been on TV since they lost the titles to Sting and Darby.
Yeah, right.
And Bill says, we're not looking past Top Flight, but they're a 16 seed. We're a 1 seed. And Starks and I are going to dance our way, becoming the 2-time tag champs. Starks says, yeah, after we beat Top Flight, then we're going to beat FTR. We guarantee we'll beat FTR again and prove why we're the best tag team AEW has ever seen.
Yeah, that didn't exactly happen. But after that, we had the Copeland, Briscoe, and Eddie promo. Cope's like, if House of Black want to get in my business, and he challenges it to a 6-man at Dynasty. And then Mark's like, yeah, got a Ring of Honor title match, a super card. There's respect between us, but we got no respect for House of Black. And then Eddie's like, after Dynasty, House of Black's going to be spitting up blood and teeth. Are we done now? Is this the boom pole? After that, we had Kyle O'Reilly versus J.D. Drake. Another win here for Kyle O'Reilly on Collision.
Yeah, it was really quick, too.
Via tap out. And then the Undisputed Kingdom once again come in the ring to celebrate with Kyle. And then Bennett and Taven hoist him up on their shoulders. So the courting continues.
I did appreciate that when Roddy got in the ring, he was kind of holding the belt like this.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to hit him in the head.
He was about to blast Kyle, and Kyle turned around kind of shocked
buddy.
by it at first.
Hey, buddy.
But then Roddy quickly put the belt aside and came in for the hug. So.
After that, we had a little video package for the two Wills. A battle of wills, they say.
Yeah.
Will Hobbs and Will Ospreay.
That's what it is, Battle of Wills.
It is. They have that match on Dynamite.
It'll be good. It'll be really good.
Yeah, it'll be a good match.
Looking forward to that.
Will Ospreay, boy, oh boy, he could wrestle.
You got that right. Hey, Powerhouse Hobbs, pretty great too.
He's pretty awesome. That guy can wrestle. He can wrestle.
Then we got Ricky Starks and Big Bill versus Top Flight. So it seemed pretty clear that this wasn't supposed to be the finish of the match. What happened here?
Yeah, dude.
There was concern, obviously, about Ricky Starks getting injured.
Mm-hmm.
So Ricky was actually pinned before he actually was pinned because Darius Martin rolls up Ricky Starks. The ref stopped counting. Ricky didn't kick out. And then Top Flight then hits some double team offense on Starks. Darius hits him with a tornado DDT using Dante to do the kind of tornado aspect of it to get the win. And then Doc Samson comes in and checks on Ricky. And he says on Twitter he's fine. It was just, so that's good.
Yeah. He was like, I don't want to advance in this tournament. Oh man. Yeah, no, honestly, like it was kind of a scary moment.
Yeah, it
But
was.
like within the context of like what had happened earlier, yeah, it's sort of oddball situation there. But yeah, hopefully he's fine. You know, I take his word for it on social media that he's okay,
Hmm.
and we'll get to see more of him on our TV because it's kind of weird that they weren't on TV for the longest time.
I know. Nothing,
That was
nothing
weird.
for him. But they found time for Christopher Daniels to say that he was been in AEW since day one. It's not about how long you've been here; it's about who you beat. So then he challenges Malachi to a match on Rampage that he'll surely lose.
It is about who you beat, Christopher Daniels, and who have you beat lately.
Nobody.
Oh man.
So we got Thunder Rosa versus Lady Frost in a really good match.
Oh, this is a good one. Yeah.
Thunder Rosa gets the win here. I didn't know that one of Lady Frost's moves was called the Chiller Driller. Wow, what a good name.
That's a
What a
great
great name.
Yeah.
Chiller Driller. What a good name.
Chiller Driller.
So she hits that, gets a 2. She looks for a spin kick, but Thunder Rosa evades that. Backstabber, Tijuana Bomb. Thunder Rosa gets the win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. After that, we had a Tony Storm interview. She's got Mariah May and Luther with her. Renee's like, hey, I got some breaking news. Thunder versus Mariah will face off to be Tony's next opponent. And then Tony turns to Mariah and says, was this the plan all along? Is this what you've been plotting for months? And then she plants a big old kiss on her and says, you're a genius. I see myself in you and I love me. What do you think of that, Lightning Daffodil? Ha ha ha. You should have retired as champion because you'll never sniff this leather again. Now you mouth the words and I'll do the voice. Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe. Then they go.
Yeah, because Mariah was doing
Mm-hmm.
the lip syncing, if you will. So then we got a Will Ospreay video package.
Oh, bruv.
Bruv.
Battle of Wills.
Bruv. And then we got the main event. Claudio, Bryan Danielson, and Shibata taking on Lance Archer and The Righteous. Again.
Give us the slide guitar, man.
Bow, 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 bow. Bow, bow. Again, a good match. They gave it tons of time, as these tag matches on Collision often get.
Yeah, a lot of time.
But not a whole lot of drama. Shibata ends up getting the win after hitting a PK on Vincent. Whoops. And again, you know, here's the thing. It's a good match. It's an enjoyable match. Bereft of drama. And it wasn't like the match quality, while good, wasn't quite the level that after you watch it, you're like, Righteous or main eventers. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it kind of is a bit of a disservice to Lance Archer and the Righteous. If you're going to have them in the main event, crazy stuff, blow the roof off the place. Like, that kind of has to be the situation, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, we've seen Lance Archer be in really, really, really fun matches
Yeah, dude.
that are
he's awesome.
crazy, you know, doing wild stuff and throwing people through tables. I'm not saying it needs to be throwing people through tables by any means, but it just didn't feel like this was necessarily elevated to main event status.
No, dude, it's not. I mean, you said everything there is to say about it. Collision is just, you know, it's got a crap time spot, so I don't know how much they're going to devote to like actually making the show matter. Let me ask you this really quick.
Christopher Daniels had a promo.
Yeah, Christopher. Yeah, exactly. I won't say what I said, but I think I texted you a picture of him. If we ran a poll on our YouTube channel, which would you rather us cover, NXT or Collision?
Oh, NXT will win that.
You think so?
Oh, absolutely. And to be honest,
yeah,
I wouldn't be that upset about it because that's 2 hours at least from I get back from my weekend.
Oh yeah, your precious weekend hours. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know you value your time on the weekend.
Oh no, I wasn't being snarky about that. Yeah, no, but you've made that point before. With me, with Collision, I speed run the shit out of that show.
Oh yeah. It's
You know
in
what
terms
I mean?
of sitting here and watching and note taking, it's the easiest show I do because I rarely do the interviews verbatim or any of that stuff.
Yeah. What do you think the split would be if we ran that poll?
I want to say 70-30.
Wow.
I think it'd be over. It would be a vast majority.
A lot of people are talking about the Carmelo Trick stuff, and I'm sort of out of the loop. Like I'm gonna watch the Prime. I might watch it on stream, like the Prime Target.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that's on their YouTube channel now.
There you go. Get up to speed.
Get up to speed on it in advance of Stand and Deliver. Yeah, so I don't know, something we might consider after Mania. You know, we like to mix it up here on the channel. I had an idea about that as well, which I'll run by you off camera. And I'm not even sure I'm sold on it, but we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Would you like to answer? Oh, we got a Raw preview real quick, and then
we got a Raw preview tonight.
Man, this might be a 2-hour show. So, Raw preview. The Rock says,
and
Roman Reigns return on the final Raw before WrestleMania.
Also, Sami Zayn battles Bronson Reed in a high stakes rematch. That's
Remember, Chad Gable was giving Sammy the business.
It's funny, like, as much as you and I were like, oh yeah, he's gonna like coach him and train him and stuff, and I'm like, oh, WrestleMania is this weekend. They gotta get on that if they're gonna do that.
I know.
New Day and #DIY combine to take on Judgment Day.
And then Ivy Nile and Maxine Dupree to take on Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell.
Nice. Candice is going to fuck some people up, man. I love to see it. Go get it, Candice.
All right. Let's answer a few questions here. King Pertovd here says, could you see Santos Escobar winning Money in the Bank?
I think they're doing a good job with Santos lately, but not this year. We'll see where he is in a year, and maybe my answer will change. My goodness, the MMA Hour is still going.
Wow.
It's a long show.
Another Money in the Bank question. Luis here says, who are now the favorites for the Money in the Bank briefcases?
Oh, my gosh. There's a lot of people out there. Punk. Maybe.
Drew, if he doesn't beat Seth at Mania.
True. Yeah.
And he resigns.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting if Roman.
Oh wow.
Tried
Seth maybe
if he loses,
I don't know. You see, didn't Roman say something on that on the documentary, the Legends, whatever it is? Once he drops the title, he says, "I'm out of here. I'm retired."
Oh no, I didn't see that.
I just saw like on Twitter with a screen with like a caption, so I don't even know if it's true. It's probably not
gotcha.
AJ Otani says, why is creative determined to have zero heat between Randy and Kevin Owens like this isn't a triple threat match? I like their chemistry. Maybe they just like their chemistry too much.
Yeah. They're fun together. They're a lot of fun together, I feel like. And I guess the idea is because probably Logan Paul is going to walk out of WrestleMania, so the idea is walking into it, well, Logan Paul's got this huge disadvantage because it's basically a 2-on-1 match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doc Hensla says, Jade looks like a star. In what scenario do you see her winning a women's championship by the end of 2024?
I mean, there's still 8 months left.
Yeah.
Well, she ain't gonna win it. She's not gonna beat Rhea, but she could beat. If Io beats Bailey, somebody's got to beat Io. Could be Jade.
Yeah, it could be Jade. Yeah.
And if somebody's gonna make Jade, with the lack of experience there, look like $1 million in the ring, it's gonna be Io.
Yeah.
Jay Butler says, I don't know if this has ever been really discussed. Says, do you think Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, Hunter and Sean was the original idea for DX? I don't, if they hadn't jumped ship. I don't know that they discussed the Clique as being a proper faction. Mm-hmm. I don't remember that being ever discussed. Like, I don't think anybody's ever talked about that publicly. Yeah. And then once Hunter got off his quote unquote punishment, it was like, okay, why don't you guys just do your thing? Yeah. So I kind of feel like the timing didn't line up.
It didn't. No, not really. Because by the time
maybe
DX,
somebody.
It was a year after Hall and Nash left before DX became a thing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
More or less.
Yeah. Boy, that faction would never have lost anything to anybody.
No. They've been super over too.
Yeah. Oh, Victor here in YouTube chat says Jay would look good with the briefcase. Jay Uso with the briefcase. If you have Drew McIntyre as champion, that's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Roger Acevedo here says, there are any matches on the Mania card that could be an unexpected show stealer?
I'm not expecting much. I think a lot of them, I don't know what to expect from the tag match.
Yeah.
And because of that, it could be awesome. You know, there's a lot of really good talent in that match, and it's a ladder match, so that could be a lot of fun.
You know, if they get creative with it, I feel like there's a lot of matches that could, like LA Knight and AJ Styles, that could be pretty basic. Or if they have some fun with it, do something interesting, it could be, from a storytelling perspective, a fun match.
If they get as corny with it as the build has been, it could be really fun. It could be really entertaining.
Yeah. Yep. Blake's asking if we're going to review the Bray Wyatt documentary for at any point, at least for Friendo Club. I'll see if I can make some time before Wednesday to watch it.
Okay.
I can watch it Wednesday morning when we get together.
I'm going to try to watch it tonight, so I'll be ready for that because I'm really interested in it. Jay Smooth here has been a Friendo Club member for 7 months. Says, "Happy Mania week, Friendos. Match of the weekend prediction. I'm going to go right now with Gunther versus Sami Zayn."
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
EO versus Bailey also could be absolutely
that's going to be really good.
killer.
I think Becky versus Rhea is going to be really good, too.
That could be really
I'm going to say match of the weekend is whoever faces Adam Copeland at the Cope Open on 11:30 p.m. Collision on Saturday.
I hope it's Christopher Daniels.
Oh, gosh.
Luis
I retract that statement then.
Luis Areza says, "Was the guy that jumped the barricade Bob Friendo?" No. Well, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what he looks like.
We've never seen him.
We've never seen him before.
Never seen him before.
He could be a local indie talent there and wherever they were.
We don't know.
Thwip Star here in the YouTube comments says, "Going to Raw tonight in Brooklyn, hoping for a good show." Yeah, the Brooklyn crowd's going to be good. They're usually good.
New Kyle's asking, what is Andrade going to do at WrestleMania? Probably nothing. He'll probably be on the Andre
He's
Battle
in the
Royal.
Andre. Who do you think is going to win the Andre?
I mean, it should be Andrade, I feel like. Give him something.
Oh, Braun Breaker's got to win that. Yeah.
Yeah.
DJE says, "Would it be in WWE's best interest to move Roman to Raw at some point in order to have him holding the World Heavyweight Championship as they migrate over to Netflix?" Now, according to that Twitter thing I saw, he's retiring after losing at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to that for now.
I mean, by that point, you'll have CM Punk on Raw, you assume. Seth will still be there, most likely. This Monday Night Rollins. It was weird when he moved over to SmackDown for a year, you know?
Yeah, that was weird.
Maybe Drew. Like, there's plenty of talent to be the folk. Rhea, Becky, could go on and on. Who could be the main event stars of Raw without having to move Roman over.
Yeah. W.S. Fletcher says, "I have a question. Why is there a hook signal? I do not understand. Can you explain the hook signal?"
It's the send hook thing, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, like when Commissioner Gordon wanted to send Batman or notify Batman, they had the bat signal.
Yeah, but I don't think he ever said send Batman.
You don't think in the entire history of the Batman comic books, the words "send Batman" never came out of Commissioner Gordon's mouth?
Gordon's mouth? Probably not. Superman, maybe. Because when they're in the Justice League.
Yeah.
Who are we going to send? Send Batman. But Gordon, no. He ain't sending nobody. He'll send his troops someplace, but he can't send Batman. Batman's like, I do not get paid by the Gotham City Police Department.
What? But he responds to the bat signal when Gordon turns that on.
Yeah.
So if a situation where it's like, hey, the Riddler's got this factory.
Vicky Vale.
Sure. You know, and some crazy stuff's going on. You know, we could send some of Gotham City's police officers. Should we do that? No. Turns bat signal on. Send Batman.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like him actually. Who's he saying send Batman to?
Someone that who's under him in the police hierarchy in Gotham City?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's his number two?
Harvey Bullock.
All right, save it to Harvey. Harvey
send
says.
Batman. And then what's he gonna say? Bullock's gonna go to Batman and be like, "Hey."
No, they turn the bat signal on.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying he gets Batman's phone number, picks up his iPhone and call him. No, bat signal.
I think you and I can both agree the hook signal is stupid.
Yeah, that we can agree on.
I'm gonna see if anybody ever said send Batman. Oh, this is funny. On eBay, you can get a pin that says "Send Batman to Vietnam." Why is that one of the first? Wow, apparently these are popular. Protest Vietnam War. Send Batman. Hippie peace love. On eBay. Fetch Batman. Yeah, it's more like, hey, somebody fetch Batman.
Cat Dad 7 says, if Logan wins at Mania, do you think they'll end up making Randy and Kevin Owens a tag team, since they always do a play on words, end up calling them RK Owens to push merch?
No,
you just have Comic Sans, the R,
yeah,
and then the Kevin Owens font in KO, and there you go.
Yeah, because he's got RKO and Comic Sans on his butt these days.
Yeah.
If it was Vince still running things, yeah, that would totally happen. But I don't see that being a thing.
Yeah.
Austin says, like Mercedes Monet's new theme, what other wrestler should have piped in chants in their entrance music, and what chant would it be? Oh man,
it'd be interesting if an LA Knights theme, like on the beginning of every measure, on the one beat, you get a yeah.
That's
yeah. My dog's going crazy. Apologies, everybody.
Marquez says, with the direction WWE production has taken since Dunn left the company, what changes to WrestleMania production are you looking forward to seeing? Great question.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Night 1 of WrestleMania, all one shot.
Oh, wow. No.
Like Triple H saw Hitchcock's Rope.
Yeah, right.
Some of the other well-known one-shot films.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, we're going to do that for WrestleMania.
Listen, I've been obsessed with this, no cutting. Look at where they're hiding the cut here. Well, we've got technology. We don't need to hide any cuts because it's all live. Story never ends.
One continuous 4-hour shot.
Yeah, wow. Probably the dog shit WrestleMania, to be honest.
It would be. It would be.
I've been watching the work of Lars von Trier. We're gonna dull it. He's gonna bring it down. We're gonna.
Guess what? WrestleMania under no lights.
Under no lights with only natural lighting.
We're gonna get.
But you have like 100 people with cameras. 100 people with video cameras.
Exactly. Yes.
Let's see here. Elemental Giant says, who should switch brands after Mania? We're gonna do a whole video about that.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do a series of draft videos, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Are we gonna do a mock draft? Those are always fun.
Yeah, we'll do whatever we want to do. It's our channel. We can do whatever we want to
do. Jet Black here says, imagine Steve and Larson switch places in the intro. Super chat there.
Oh, we could if you want to. I'm down to do whatever.
No, it's
doesn't flow.
It's habitual at this point for me. Like if I had to start saying and Larson, I'd be sitting here waiting for you to say Steve here.
Wouldn't you just say Larson here and I'd say and Steve?
Doesn't work.
Can we try it real quick?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Larson here.
You got a little bit more energy.
Larson here.
Not looking away.
Sorry. Larson here.
And Steve.
No.
It's weird.
No.
Not good.
It's like the rhythm of it.
Yeah.
With the syllables and such. It just works so well.
Yeah, it's no good. Let's see here. And I feel like I set the bar. I feel like I set the tone of things.
Oh,
Steve here.
Right.
Yeah. Can't start off low and then go high.
No.
It's like, what's the problem with that first guy?
Yeah. It's like, why are the other guys so dull and boring and low energy?
Oh, hey, would you be opposed to doing a video at Friendo Club Wrestling where I conglomerate a bunch of bad comments about us?
No, I have no problem with that.
Okay, cool. Right on.
Like just show the comments with none of us on it?
No, we comment. We react to them.
Oh, no, that's great. I love that.
That sounds fun, right?
I like reading the bad comments, honestly.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes they're pretty funny.
Sometimes they are funny, like the shit twins. I mean, that's hilarious.
Yeah, one dude. So I did this merch review on Wrestle Juice.
Yeah.
And this dude replied and said, Steve doing a merch review is Steve giving fashion advice is hilarious because he dresses like he's almost homeless. And then I laughed so hard at that shit. And I responded. I was like, this is really rude, but it really made me laugh. So thanks for that. And then he asked me to come on his channel. And I'm like, no, you don't say that I dress like I'm almost homeless and then ask me to be on a channel just because I'm good natured about it. I'm never going on your channel now. I might have before, but I'm not definitely now.
That's strange. Wow. Did you get the membership here from Robbie Rock?
No.
Zachary Bacon.
Wow, great name.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you
so much.
Friendo Club setup. Enjoy it.
Snowman says, if this WrestleMania is great, but the Raw and SmackDown are trash, will that change your view of this year's stories? Man, nothing could be worse than the Raw after Mania last year.
No, that was awful.
Boy, that was crazy. Vince just shows up and it just tanks the entire thing.
That first hour was all commercial free, and there was one squash match with Emotes.
And Elias, yeah.
Yeah, that was the only match the whole first hour.
That was crazy. That was absolutely insane. What a weirdo. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Wow, look at that. We made it under 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hilton's over there.
No, see, you're not convincing.
A weird sign.
You're not convincing.
And I think it means wrap it up.
You're not convincing.
No, he's right there. Dude, I'm right here.
No, you're covering your mouth. You're so awful at this.
Dude, I'm right here.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Where's the end stream now button?